My project was to create a local events-based application for finding nearby events for people to attend. The main idea of this project was to create a service that allowed people to find and attend events within their current location and be able to see what's going on in their local area. These events could be things such as parties, meetups, fundraisers, etc. Users would then be able to create their own events as well, and they'd have the option to make these either public events that anyone could attend or private events that only select people that they invite could attend. Users would be able to select that they wish to attend an event, and then they would be added to the guest list or the list of attendees for a specific event. Once the date of these events near, they should be receiving a notification reminding them that this event is upcoming so that they remember that they have something on their calendar coming up. We want to have some communication between attendees and hosts so people can decide what they should be bringing, if they can bring a friend, if something changes, the host can notify everyone, those kind of things. So we want to have some sort of messaging service between attendees and hosts to allow that kind of communication. Users can also filter by searching through events in the search bar, either searching for specific titles or parts of titles, or they can search through tags which are attached to the events. Users should also be able to explore nearby events, which are also recommended to them based on the type of events that they frequently interact with. Some of the technologies that were used for this: Facebook Login was used for the sign-in process and the sign-in flow to create an easy way for users to generate their profile account by linking their Facebook account. Firebase was used for the service implementation features. Some of the features we used were Firestore for the real-time persistent data storage, Firebase storage for the image storage and retrieving, Firebase authentication with a callback to Facebook Login, allowing users to automatically create a profile for their account linked to their Facebook account. So they now have their Facebook information is linked to a Firestore user instance in the database. The Uber Ride SDK was used to allow the ability for users to call an Uber ride to the events directly from within the app. Google Maps SDK was used as well to allow users to navigate to an event directly from within the app. Look at the class diagram. It's a little complex, so we'll start with the two base classes of this application, which are the events and user classes. The events class takes in various items such as the title, the dates of the events, both the start and the end, where the event is as a latitude and longitude geopoint location, which is what the Firestore uses as a location element, the physical text address of the events, how many people are able to fit within the events, some tags associated with it, whether or not it is a private or public event through the visible tag, and the image URL, which will be an image provided from Firebase storage for the location of the image, the spots remaining, which is really just the capacity minus the length of the attending array, the host itself, which is a string but is really just a reference to the path to the user in the database, the attending array, which is just an array of strings of user paths to who is attending the event, and the document ID, which is just a reference to the ID in the database, or the event in the database rather. The users follow a similar structure. They have a user ID, which is created by Firebase authentication, a name, an email, profile image URL, following, followers, attending, and host. The top four items are all provided either through Facebook API or the Firebase authentication API. Following, followers, attending, and hosts will all be generated through the application. The first two, following and followers, will initially be empty. Attending will be filled as the user starts to attend events, and host will show which events they are hosting. You can see that it follows a object-oriented structure where it shows that it's able to generate what events are this user is hosting by calling the get hosting events method. We can see similar things for the events. We can save the event, add attendees to the event, remove attendees to the event, so on and so forth. A further look at some of the other parts of the application, you can see that some of these controllers, such as the view controller, can get pretty complex. That's because it has things such as the map view, the CL location manager, a table view, a search bar, and it's using all of these as it is a delegate for all of these elements. So it's acting a lot of subclass methods, which you can see down here. There are a lot of custom elements too, which I put in the views and the MVC structure, such as a custom search bar, which is initially a blank background, just the bar is visible, but as a user interacts with it, the bar appears in an animated style to give it a more polished look. Search result table cells are just custom table cells for the user to interact with. The event annotation view is actually a custom annotation for the MK map view. There are two different versions that were created in the application. The one that's currently being shown is a purple annotation with a see-through center rather than the default red. There is also an option to be able to show the event's image as well as the event title in the annotation, but we found that it took up too much space, so it was turned off for now. Other things such as the profile view up here. It has some elements such as a scroll view, which it uses a scroll view delegate, and it takes in a user through the segue, and it goes ahead and it generates a user's profile based on that. It is then presented from a circular image view, which you can see here is a custom view created, which is just an image view that is a radius of half the height, so it's a consistent circle. Some other ones are the new events, which also acts as the edit events view controller, which takes in a lot of fields as well. Both the new event view controller and the event detail view controller implement the feedback generator, which is the haptic feedback that iOS comes built in with if you have the proper device. The search results view controller also implements the 3D touch, so you can 3D touch on a search result cell to get both peek and pop features. And just a overall look at the diagram. It's a little large. It is a very complete structure. Quick look at what some of the capabilities are for the application as of right now. People are able to use the Facebook login service to connect their Facebook account as a sign-in method. Users can explore the main home map to see nearby events that are currently available, created by other users. Users can create, modify, and set the visibility of their own events, which will all be stored within the Firestore collection. Users can search for events based on either part or whole of a title using the search bar at the top of the home screen. Users can view their own profile, which shows all of the events they are hosting in a horizontal scroll view. Users can call Uber rides to an event location. It will open the Uber app, and you have the option then to press the call ride. It'll set up the entire flow. Users can also navigate to an event directly through Google Maps. It will open up Google Maps and create the navigation flow. All you have to do is press start. Some of the limitations of the application, searching by tags is not available yet, nor is the event recommendations, because Firestore does not yet allow querying within arrays. They have said it's coming in the future, so it is a feature that could be implemented later. Firestore can't query geopoints within a certain distance. They do also plan to implement this, so eventually you should be able to wall off how many events you query based on a certain distance. So, as an example, only give us the events within a 50-mile radius so that the efficiency is much better and also the user isn't overloaded with events that aren't completely relevant to them. Notifications aren't fully implemented yet. Currently, the notification screen is empty. Messaging between hosts and attendees is not implemented yet, but it is possible in the future through Firebase messaging. That would go in the same view as the notifications, and deleting events is not yet possible. Some of the lessons learned: Firestore, when it reaches full maturity, is going to be a fantastic service. It's currently only been in GA for less than a year. Many of the critical features are missing, such as previously mentioned querying within arrays and geopoint calculations. Proper object-oriented design is very important to this development. It makes the process easier later on. So, as an example, creating the events object made it so that rather than needing to make a Firebase call each time, you just make a event object where you pass in a certain elements of the events, and it'll query the events for that object, and it'll fill and populate the object for you, so you don't have to create these long queries that are recreated on multiple views and creates a mess on your controllers. You can make very complex designs once you learn proper subclassing and manipulation of the native iOS elements. A simple example would be like the circular image views. So by subclassing the image view, you're able to create a new image view, which is always a perfect circle, which is a nice aesthetic choice. It can get a little more complex with custom table view cells and so on. And once you figure out all of the different ways to manipulate the native system, you can create very complex designs. Controllers themselves can also get very complex very fast when you start implementing a lot of delegates. It definitely grows into a very large class when you have a search, or rather a table view controller or a table view, a search bar, the force touch, the haptic feedback. All of those require delegates, and once you implement all of these, your super class gets much larger, and your methods that you're implementing or your overriding get much larger as well. So it gets much more complex. And here's a quick look at the final images of the application after development. One issue that arose rather recently was down at the profile image down here. It originally filled the entire circle and clipped to match the circle. Now it seems to be fitting within the circle. Facebook appears to have changed the resolution of the images that they send back, so the image is now smaller and fits within the circle, so that's an adjustment that needs to be changed. Other than that, all of the results are the same, so this is the final output. Thank you.